Okay. ABCD.
Check, 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 check. It looks really hot. Check, 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 check. Mic check, mic check, mic check.
Okay, cut yours off.
Check one, check one. Check one, check one. I just played around with it until I could get it.
Okay, now
Check.
we're on mic.
Check.
Let me turn it down.
But yours is off.
Mine is off.
Sounds good. Try yours now.
This is mic 2, mic 2, mic 2, and I turned down the level just a hair. Did that help, or was it? No, anyway. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Mic 2, mic 2. It looks pretty good on this meter here. Check,
Okay.
check, 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 check.
How about this? I'll start ABCs. You do. Let's do 4 letters at a time. A B C D.
E, F, G,
H I J K.
L, M, N, O, P.
Q R S.
T, U, V,
That's good.
W, I hope. I was kind of getting worried about remembering all that.
Just heard what you said.
Check, check. They're very level over here now on this.
Okay, let's try one more thing real quick. I'm gonna add back that. Okay, the noise gate is at 31, negative 31.
So that did help with the room noise.
Your mic's on?
Yes, my mic is on.
Okay, and I'm listening here, and now I'm gonna And here we go. All right. We're going to sit in these tiny chairs.
All right.
Hey, kids. We
Hello.
are not your children's ministers.
Read, study, and follow.
Yes.
Always. I don't follow always.
We're just doing a test here to make sure it's not choppy or anything. I mean, we're not going to sing and dance, that's for sure.
Okay.
No. So we're just going to wave.
Hey,
Trying to see if there's anything choppy about it.
check.
That's like a good shot. Just walk around a little bit.
That was a good shot.
I guess because sometimes the video kind of freezes, but the audio continues. But that's okay. But it's when the audio freezes, you know,
Check.
that's when that's problematic. Yeah.
Check.
Okay. But Facebook is not choppy or. Okay. I'm gonna stay on for a minute and text the children's ministers and just let them know. Oh, good. Okay. I just invited the children's ministers to check it out. So maybe you'll see another couple people hop on, but hey, Carrie Lynn. Hey, Debbie. Pray for our internet. All right. Well, okay. Sure thing. Doug is coming in just a little bit. He's going to set up. We're going to try to do a Zoom live stream over in the teen room and do a camera live stream here and then reverse that and try to do because children's worship will be a Zoom thing. So we'll do a Zoom live stream in the children's wing while we're simultaneously doing a video live stream in the teen room. Sure. How's the lighting? Should we add lighting to this? It's okay. Jeff told me to say something for the test, so I'm saying something. Carrie Lynn, Debbie, I hope y'all had fun last night in the church parking lot. Brittany said she had a lot of fun. Yeah. Went to the car wash today. It was fun. Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh, Jeff hung up on me. So a report went out today from Louisiana, from Vermilion Parish, where we have lots of friends. They have had their first reported case of coronavirus in that parish, and guess who it is? One of my former teenage students from youth ministry. Hey, Jeff.
You got 3 viewers now on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Connection is too slow for quality, so there may be a hiccup in there.
Huh. Okay. Okay, and all right, running a test to see if my mouth is connected with my words. Hey, Carrie Lynn, Debbie, anybody watching, if you could post to let Jeff know, are you experiencing where my voice and my mouth are not in sync with one another? If not, let Jeff know whether it is or not, so we know if it's our internet or his internet. Okay, so Vimeo is working well, which means the embed on the website should work well. Okay. Okay, so maybe just a little glitch. Yeah. My Brittany? Okay. Always wanted to be in sync. Jeff said he wanted to be the Backstreet Boys. You probably didn't want that live streamed, but I needed it to be live streamed. I needed that to go out. Okay. All right, this is looking good. We will run another test around 3 or so while we're doing simultaneous streams. All right, thank you, Jeff. Well, we're waiting on Doug, and when Doug gets here with all his stuff, so I'm thinking to do your real job. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, I can't see you guys. The only thing I can see is the black screen with Bompart printed on it. So whenever you changed, then the video on here from your side went away. So I can hear you guys talking. I can hear everything you're saying. Okay, I can see you guys. The only thing. There's no video in your screen, is what I'm saying. I'm not watching anything. There's nothing to see. Now I can see you guys. Yep. Do you need me to go to something else? I have another computer I can go look at something else on.
I need to change. Okay.
Okay. Hello? You have bubbles coming out?
Okay, Jeff, you should be seeing Doug, and you should be getting audio.
Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give us a song.
The joy of the Lord.
The joy of the Lord will be my strength. I will not falter.
Walking by faith.
The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord. The joy of the Lord is my strength. That's my tiny tin voice.
That's the studio mic, full mic.
That's all you have on? Just a studio mic right now?
That's all we got plugged in.
La 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 la.
What's that, Jeff?
I'm over here singing bass. Low in the grave he lay.
Hey, Doug, could you sit in that first seat?
Right here?
Right. Yes. Yes.
My Savior.
And just give a dynamic like a ha ha ha. Shout something. Shout something.
La 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 la. Good. Want me to sit in another chair? Is that loud enough? How are your levels looking? Good. Thanks. More to do.
Jeff said, please make that stuff. How was it? Okay, good. Are you hearing it? All right.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. Do I need to put on a headset or anything? Okay. All right. All right. So it doesn't matter what I read. All of us struggle with anger, but anger is not always sinful. We should experience feelings of anger whenever we see injustice in the world, but most often our anger comes from a far less noble place, our own self interest and pride. The important question we must all ask ourselves is this: how do I react when I am angry? If, as most of the time, our temper gets the best of us, we can lose control of what we say and sometimes even what we do. Satan consistently uses anger to tempt us to sin, but Paul challenged us: let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. That's from Philippians chapter 2 and verse 3. Although there are many myths associated with anger management, the following myths are typically repeated and even accepted by much of our society today. The problem is that these myths support the conclusion that anger and aggression are determined solely by instinct and biology. These three myths make it seem that anger is inescapable and therefore all anger is acceptable. And we ultimately are not responsible when we get angry. Myth number one: anger is caused by a biochemical event in our body that we cannot control.
Check one, check one. All right. So we've been running the same Vimeo stream for the last hour, so you would just have to refresh it. So I'm on camera. The kids thing. Great. So kids program in VP Kids and Ben on the Vaughn Park Facebook page, both are working well simultaneously. Is that what you're telling me?
Number two, anger and aggressive behavior are instinctual to all mankind. Myth number three: it is healthy to ventilate your feelings, especially when angry. Physiologically, anger is a fight or flight response to stressors or threats in our environment. These stressors
What's he talking about? Okay. So that's perfect then. That's good.
or threats might be real. For example, a small child runs into the street, or they may be just perceived to be real. The thought that our small child might run into the street. The mind, and as a result, our physiology, does not discriminate between these two. Physiological research shows that the higher order of the brain.
Check one, check one. Uh-oh. Right. So we've been running the same Vimeo stream for the last hour, so you would just have to refresh it. What's he talking about? Why am I coming out of this? Hang on a second.
Controls forethought. decision-making, and planning. And that area of our brain becomes less stimulated and more primitive or basic in the functioning when our brain becomes stimulated by stressors or threats. These primitive areas control our involuntary functions, things. And large muscle movement. This is often referred to as the fight or flight response, and it appears to be our natural reaction to a stressor or threat. A tongue-in-cheek way of describing this is that anger makes me stupid. When we get angry, we do things we wouldn't. Things we wouldn't ordinarily say. Perhaps this is one reason that experts suggest that parents should count to 10 or backwards from 100 before responding to their children. It allows parents to re-stimulate the higher order areas of the brain so that they are back in control of themselves.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try something real quick. No, there we go.
Situations and what they say, and more importantly, what they do. Clearly, while biochemical changes in our body do occur when we experience anger, these changes are a result of and not the cause of anger. Anger occurs when we choose to feel angry in a situation or circumstance based on many years of societal conditioning, and it is largely an unconscious choice. Anger is a natural emotion with a specific purpose in our lives. As with all our emotions, it is God-given, and it is largely an unconscious choice. Anger is a natural emotion with a specific purpose in our lives. As with all our emotions, it is God-given to warn us of a real or perceived threat to ourselves. It is also an early warning detection system that informs us of a need to change an undesirable situation. For many, anger has become a strategy used to cope with the various kinds of stresses that are perceived as threats because in the past it has worked to some degree or in some situations to alleviate our individual stress. However, when we feel the stress that precedes our anger, we do have the choice to not allow inappropriate thoughts to dominate, but to recognize the feelings and channel them into the proper process for dealing with our current situation or circumstance. Developing an awareness that we choose to cope with stressors is easier said than done. We can make this work by studying our own methods for handling stress and developing an understanding of how our anger works. This is the foundation of developing the trait of personal responsibility, which has as its key assumption, I am responsible for my own actions and I must change my coping strategies as needed to more closely reflect the Spirit of God which is living in me. What I most need to do is submit to the Spirit within me as it works through my physical being to transform me more and more into my Savior's image. One way I have found to do this is by committing specific applicable scripture to memory so that it is readily recalled in various situations or circumstances. Much like the example of Jesus when he was in the desert and Satan tempted him, Jesus responded with scripture. For me, this is a wonderful way to begin partnering with God's Spirit in this change in my own life that I want to make. Many of us have bought into the idea that venting and temper tantrums will make our anger go away. To some extent, this may be true. Yelling or punching something will certainly release tension immediately, but it fails to deal with the underlying problem. Let's assume that letting anger out does work. Obviously, it must be working if so many experts are prescribing it. The truth is that it does work in the short term. Letting your anger out releases built-up tension and frustration. Unfortunately, however, it won't solve problems. It may cause children to even begin to avoid their parents or walk on eggshells when they're around. It may cause children to hide things from their parents and husbands or wives to not share all with their spouse. This is not the type of solution we should be looking for. Letting out anger can also be addictive to some degree. Many individuals, unfortunately, like the feeling that anger gives them. They may feel more powerful, in control, or simply more alive. Research shows that this kind of behavior can have a physiological rush or high associated with it. Of course, this research does not consider the interpersonal, relational, or sometimes physical cost of such behavior. Letting out anger can be a way to get your needs met. The best example is when a small child throws a temper tantrum. Why do they do that? Because they have experienced that it leads to them getting what they want. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't bother. Adults also throw temper tantrums. We just call it getting angry. We may find that colleagues, employees, spouses, and children are more likely to do what we want or to avoid certain subjects when they know that we will get angry. Many parents state that the only time they can get their child's cooperation is when they yell or scream. They don't like that. But they find it useful. The reality behind the myth of letting anger out is that it doesn't go away permanently. Instead, anger comes back, it rebounds. And like other addictions, it always comes back in greater force. And when anger returns, a person may feel guilty about their most recent of anger, and also that their coping skills have failed again. Failure and frustration is a deadly combination that often leads to even more anger. I think Benjamin Franklin said it well in Poor Richard's Almanac. Anger is never without a reason. But as is always the case, God in his wisdom said it best. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to his neighbor, for we are all members of one body. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 25 through 27. Let me go find something else to read.
Okay. You should hear him and then you should see him full screen.
Yeah.
I have been thinking a lot about life as I have known it. The places that I have been, the world situations that I have experienced. I have been thinking a lot about life as I have known it. The places that I have been, the world situations that I have experienced, and the people that I've met. To one degree or another, we've all experienced the broken nature of this world that we live in. Every person I have ever known has at some point in their life experienced. To one degree or another, we've all experienced the broken nature of this world that we live in. Every person I have ever known has at some point in their life experienced pain, disappointment, distress, and often even disaster. But you see, I'm not discouraged by this because after all, this is not heaven. We live in disappointment, distress, and often even disaster. But you see, I'm not discouraged by this because after all, this is not heaven. We live in a world where Satan, the prince of this world, still has the greatest influence. We shouldn't be surprised by the disappointment or dysfunction we see all around us. In a world where Satan, the prince of this world, still has the greatest influence. We shouldn't be surprised by the disappointment or dysfunction we see all around us, especially in places where Satan is allowed to continue his dirty work. My experience has proven the truth of the warning Jesus gave his disciples just before his crucifixion. Is allowed to continue his dirty work. My experience has proven the truth of the warning Jesus gave his disciples just before his crucifixion. In this world, you will have trouble. I used to be surprised by trouble. I naively expected that everything would work out right. People would all, in this world, you will have trouble. I used to be surprised by trouble. I naively expected that everything would work out right. People would always keep their promises. Leaders would make sound decisions that I agreed with. Families would always treat one another with love and respect. No good people would suffer. And the golden rule was a universally accepted and applied law. Always keep their promises. Leaders would make sound decisions that I agreed with. Families would always treat one another with love and respect. No good people would suffer. And the golden rule was a universally accepted and applied law. Well, you might think that I would become a cynic after several decades of crashing up against life's hard realities. Well, you might think that I would become a cynic after several decades of crashing up against life's hard realities. But instead, I've come to be more hopeful and take great comfort in the biblical certainty that life in this world is going to be hard, because I have also come to believe that this life is not supposed to be easy. But that need not. But instead, I've come to be more hopeful and take great comfort in the biblical certainty that life in this world is going to be hard, because I have also come to believe that this life is not supposed to be easy. But that need not discourage us, because I believe our hope lies in an eternity free of trouble. Discourage us, because I believe our hope lies in an eternity free of trouble, tears, and trials. But like all humans in this life, we will set goals and miss them. And we may at times act too hesitantly, or sometimes even too hastily. We may speak too timidly or too harshly. We may unintentionally offend someone. And trials. But like all humans in this life, we will set goals and miss them. And we may at times act too hesitantly, or sometimes even too hastily. We may speak too timidly or too harshly. We may unintentionally offend someone or grossly misjudge or simply misunderstand a situation. We may even choose to spend foolishly and then suffer from the fallout of our financial mistakes. We will likely watch people spend foolishly and then suffer from the fallout of our financial mistakes. We will likely watch people we love suffer, and finally, like all mankind, we too will die. Of course, we're sad in the face of all this adversity. Every work of the devil brings us pain. People we love suffer, and finally, like all mankind, we too will die. Of course, we're sad in the face of all this adversity. Every work of the devil brings us pain. But we need not be discouraged, because this world is simply the overture to the life that all of us are looking forward to. When Jesus promised his disciples in John 16, but we need not be discouraged, because this world is simply the overture to the life that all of us are looking forward to. Would in fact have trouble in this world, he didn't stop there. He followed up by saying, "Take heart, I have overcome the world." We can seek to overcome too by accepting his salvation, recognizing his power, listening to his spirit, and yielding ourselves in his service. By doing this, I believe we can experience a peace that transcends all understanding, as we read in Philippians 4, verse 7. Even while we continue living out our days,
We're still streaming.
in this fallen world.
I'm in the teen room now. And that's Vaughn Park Church. Was it a different event or okay, it just okay, I think we got check. Yeah.
Hey Jeff, this is me. That's one of my guys up right now. But we'll say that. All right, guys. Here I am,
Yeah, you weren't quite up into the yellow. You were still in the green back there. You were coming up
And,
to there.
Ben, can you talk for us just for another 30 seconds?
Our Western way of thinking comes mainly from the ancient Greeks. By that I mean we think abstractly. We like to take what we learn apart and see how it's made and how it puts back together and try to extract from that the underlying principles. Typically, students in high school have to dissect the frog in their biology classes. When they cut the frog apart and look inside, they learn many truths about the frog.
I do.
They learn where his heart is, how his lungs are connected, and so on. But they never learn, where did the frog live? We can only learn the frog's life by observing him while he's living. You can't take him out of the pond, cut him open on a table, and learn about how he lived. The Western approach to learn about a frog is to dissect it. The Eastern approach, however, is to learn the frog's story. Both approaches gain some truths. So what does this have to do with us? I don't think we can fully understand and appreciate much of what's written in the Bible.
All right, Ben, can you hear me?
Understand that it's native environment before we take it apart.
Hey, Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think we're good for now. Hang on.
Yeah, just hang on just a second.
Thank you,
Okay.
brother.
All right, so we have done,
You're still streaming
Yeah.
audio.
Ben has been live stream Zoom call in the teen room, and I have been on video and mic in the kids room at the same time, and those streams were both going well. So that's the 9 o'clock hour right there.
Okay.
And then we just flipped it. I put Ben on in the kids room and put video and mic in the teen room, and that's the 10 o'clock hour is what we're doing.
Okay.
And Jeff has said everything on his end looks like it's flowing well.
Okay.
So that's all the scenarios we run on Sunday morning.
We've done them all.
It's good. The only thing left is
So do you have are you going to be over there running that?
that's gonna be over there. Right
That's going to be over there running that. Okay.
The only thing left to do, I think, is we need Sunday morning. Pat's gonna bring us a stand for that road mic. We're gonna work on running that road mic into the board and balancing those two. So I need to get Tracy here early
Okay.
to sing through a few songs through those two microphones. We set a balance for sound good live. We're good to go. And then we test the two lab mics in here Sunday, make sure that sound is good. We have a mix order on two at home. Yeah, we got some of those, yeah.
On cables?
Yeah. So if we have a stand and we could, you could set it between these two lights and just point it at this section here.
Right.
And I think that'll be good.
Unless you want to suspend it from the ceiling, point it straight down.
No, I think we'll just use studio mics to pick up this side. And the bases are gonna need magnification, so that mic's gonna be loud. And then just point the other way, put a filter on both of them.
Okay.
Well, no, we got filter on.
Filter on one. It's
That road
Whatever.
mic should.
whatever audio is selected, it'll be running through the noise suppression.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff. Not quite yet. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, and let you guys hear me so you can see if I'm right or not. We have just pushed a video and a Zoom, a video and a screen share to ultimately 6 different places at one time. We sent the kids stream to Vimeo, YouTube, Facebook. We sent the teen stream to Vimeo, Facebook, YouTube. All 6 things going out while Zooming. And then we flipped.
While Zoom was coming in, yeah. But that's not out, that's in, right? Would that be,
If we cut our webcam off, we had one. Yeah, but if we did, we could say it's not going to be that.
true?
We're still, it's on in there too. So,
So we maxed it out. We maximized our throughput and it worked fine.
from best we can tell, the switcher broke down is burying the grunt, is burying the megabytes per second.
Who's gonna be zooming on the other side?
So live stream studio, let's push it. Uses about 10 megabytes in your shares.
I was just under the impression that he was gonna be zooming something in. There was gonna be a Zoom connection going
And I
on
think, and the
over there
sound sounds
at
good.
the 9 o'clock hour.
The lighting, I think, made a camera. Pat did a white balance on camera lighting.
I mean, isn't David Fleer gonna teach?
The only thing we have,
That's what I-
yeah, he just tested 2 microphones.
No, he'll preach here during
That's
this.
only one.
I think he's gonna,
Last week he did a class, I remember he had on the list.
Ah, that's right.
That's right. That's to measure the crazy, things that, kids things going on.
right. So that's probably what he's talking about. We got two the Zoom call going on at both the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock.
Yeah. But not there, it's just the camera out.
Very good.
Like, that's a simple thing.
Right. I'm writing this all down, by the way. I'm documenting like what we got, where it's being done, and all of that. Sweet. And I'm gonna send the draft over to Will.
They'll see 9 of us at a time.
So 4 of us, really.
And
So we have 12.
we have spaced all the chairs out. That's why we got that new arrangement. We spaced them out. I can't say they're precisely 6 feet apart, all of them, but it looks like we're trying, yeah.
Are we good with Ben? Can we drop Ben off?
Thank you, Ben.
Brother, thank you so much. Thank you. I think we're done running our checks. Brother, you were the man. Thank you.
Ben was like a pro. He just kept
I know.
letting go. Thank you, Ben.
Have a good one, brother. All right. You ended the call. Oh, how did that come through?
What is it? The kids.
It's the kids' room.
That is the Zoom call that I'm on.
Oh, okay, because Ben dropped out. So how do you have to go to Zoom and drop this on?
Yeah. You
So this one is signed out. Right?
I'm basically signed in twice.
That's what I thought.
I started a meeting over there, same account, and it just put me in the same. I didn't think it would, but it did.
So bring it up. And
Now, here's the only issue is I don't know how to do internal audio on that computer. So what I did is I put a lav mic next to the speaker. And Jeff said it sounded like a Zoom call. And which is what it's supposed to sound like this. So we just want people at home to hear it like a Zoom call. Down there.